and welcome to AutoSave. I'm Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Nick Andrade. Hello, Nick.
I'm sick today, so normally I already have a nasally voice, but it's even worse today. But I'm going to push through and power through it because Kratos is my big brother, so I need to make him proud.
Channel his influence.
Yes, I need to channel his influence. That's perfect.
You know what's funny, though? I'm feeling a little nasally as well today. So this is just going to be a very annoying episode where we sound like we're Fran Dresser doing. And does anyone even know that reference anymore?
No.
From The Nanny? No?
Yeah, like I know, like I know Fran Drescher, but unless maybe our voices are more handsome in this tone. I don't know. Like it drops an octave a little bit more for my voice. It's normally pretty high pitched, so maybe it makes me feel more like I am Kratos, boy.
Oh, gosh.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Oh, no.
Nice.
Oh,
wow.
no. Or it's actually, I was
one.
trying to think of another reference that the younger gen may get. Who was that girl from Friends? That's like, oh my gosh.
Janice.
We're like Janice from Friends. And if you don't get that reference, well, I feel old. Anyways, you know who's old? The God of War. And we are continuing our trek through God of War Ragnarok. On last week's episode, we went to Ironwood.
I know how it feels to lose a parent, to lose both. Your mother may be gone, but your father, you've still got time to say goodbye.
I know what you're trying to say. And I appreciate it. I do. But I don't know. We've got to be more than a bunch of stories with our endings already written.
We learned a lot more about the giants, mainly the fact that Atreus is not the only giant around, which was revealed when Atreus visited Ironwood. Thought to be a myth, but it is also very real. It's kind of like the giant's haven. And we met another giant there, Angrboda, who's a giant girl whose sole purpose is to help Atreus along his journey. Talk about living someone else's dream. Oh my God, that's so sad. Anyways, she did help us along the way. She showed Atreus his whole shrine that predicts that Kratos will die at his hands. So now he's kind of clued in to everything we saw in the last game, what Kratos has been hiding. And he was pretty shocked by his father's grim future. Atreus, like any kid who would get this bad news, did what any kid would do. Chores. Yes. He did lots of chores. He joined Angrboda and Yala, who's Angrboda's yak-like companion, in a God of War farming simulator that I'm totally here for. And along the way, we learned more, like the giant souls were actually whispered into. They're not small marbles, because I was about to be like small marbles. They're actually pretty big marbles, like the size of a human hand. But Atreus is supposed to know what to do with them. And along that journey, we also learned about Gryla, who is Angrboda's grandmother, who is very much alive and very much like a green giant, like bigger than the average person. And she's kind of going through her own depression, absorbing souls of innocent animals to satisfy the void of losing her people. Now, along the way, we got to fight Gryla, which was really cool. And we also whispered one of the giant's souls, or should I call them like marble giant souls? I don't know how to. The souls of the giants in the marble. Yeah, the souls. Into a dead snake. And the snake just slithered away, didn't even say thanks, not really acknowledging us. And that kind of left Atreus feeling bummed out. But like I said, we got our spirits high in our fight with Gryla. We beat her and head back to Midgar, where Kratos was waiting and was also attacked by Freya. I mean, it was a jam-packed episode. A lot was happening.
Just brushed by the real dilemma of Kratos and Atreus as Freya tries to kill them, but then not really.
Yeah, not really. Just kidding. And that's the thing. Freya and Kratos has this really interesting friendship, obviously, because of the events of the last game. And we see like this moment of calm that's leading us into our next chapter. But that kind of got me thinking, Nick, Freya was seen as an enemy at the beginning of this game because I guess she was trying to kill Kratos, which that would definitely warrant an enemy label. But video game enemies in general, who's turned into friends over time, I'm curious to see who would be your picks.
Well, first of all, we don't know for sure if Freya is going to be a friend. I think she's still going to try to kill Kratos at this point.
Oh, definitely.
But she's using us basically to help her.
She's like a frenemy at this point.
Yes, that's a perfect definition. She's a frenemy. Not really sure which way she's going to go, but I guess we'll find out in this chapter. The number one turncoat that I know of in video games, because this was a hard list for me to find anyway. You know my love of Kingdom Hearts. I always bring up some sort of Kingdom Hearts reference, but Riku, who was a real pain in the ass in the first Kingdom Hearts game, but then by the end turned it around. Sora tried to find him, and then by Kingdom Hearts 2, even though there's more mystery up in the air, he ends up coming and helping Sora. And then by the end of this whole saga that's happened since Kingdom Hearts 3, he's basically Sora's sidekick, or, he does his own thing, but he also helps for a good cause. So he's my pick for my favorite turncoat anyway. But there's a few, including one from this game specifically. Or not from this game, but this game franchise, which is Kratos, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kratos, definitely the villain. He was horrible. I mean, he was angry. His family died. So, yeah. I would say Bowser kind of is like an enemy, He is like the classic enemy turned kind of friend. Like, I know in some games now we still go against Bowser, but really, is he an enemy? Because he's go-karting with us like all the time in the Mario Kart franchise, right? And like even on different adventures, like with Paper Mario, he joins your party. So Bowser, I think, is another one that like he sometimes flips the switch. You never know if you're going to get the friend Bowser or the enemy Bowser, but you're going to get a good time and enjoy it. Knuckles.
Yep.
Really
That's
good
a big
one.
That's probably, I would say, number one on this list.
But do the kids these days know Knuckles?
Yeah, of course. Well, there's the Sonic movies. Of course they know Knuckles.
Oh, yes.
He's at a renaissance.
Oh, yes, he is on a renaissance. Oh, Sonic is just doing so well. But yeah, I think Knuckles would be like the one that really comes to mind for me. I also want to highlight some frenemies because we briefly talked about Freya being a frenemy at this point. Yeah. And I would like to add that along the way, Waddle Dee from Kirby is a frenemy. We see Waddle Dee all the time helping Kirby out, but then also attacking us in other games. King Dedede is another one. Yep. Doesn't know whether he wants to help Kirby or not. May attack, may not attack. Mr. L, if you played the Paper Mario series, which is kind of like a dark Luigi, kind of friendly because of the familiarity, but also not working with us.
I'm jaded with Paper Mario because when I was a child and I had an N64, I begged my dad to buy Paper Mario. And that's one game he didn't get me. And he didn't get me ever during Christmas, whatever. And I begged and I begged and I begged and I never got it. So I never got to play Paper Mario. We also have to mention, because we played this game where there was a chapter in an AutoSave episode, which was called Frenemies. And that is Finn from Miles Morales.
Yes. Oh, Finn. Gets me sad every time I think about it. Also, the other trainer in all the Pokemon series, like you were playing Blue, like the red trainer and stuff like
lame.
that. So lame.
I always those characters have always been so lame. And I didn't realize that until I was much older playing the game. But I guess because it's a kid's game, I should tone it down a bit. But, they're usually just like, you're my friend, but also my rival.
Well, you need a rival in order to go ahead. And I guess maybe that friendship with Freya and Kratos, maybe it will help Kratos strive for more greatness. But this chapter, we're really going to understand what this reunion between the two old friends really means, even though it's unclear whether they're really rekindling their friendship or not. And we're going to also explore a new realm, which is really exciting. So let's dive into Chapter 6, The Reckoning.
What is it you expect to need Kratos for, Highness? Clearly you've been quite capable of breaking Odin's curses on your own.
The other curses grew weak from Fimbulwinter, but I still needed help to break them. This one is held strong.
So all that trying to kill him, that's just your goddessy way of asking for help?
I don't recall asking you to come along.
It's 'cause you didn't. I got an old drinking buddy I've been meaning to look up once this joint were back on the map. Got a hunch lending you mokes a hand's gonna end me up where I'm going.
And what makes you think that?
'Cause last I heard tell, she was running with that beefwit brother of yours.
Freya is not a part of this.
Well, my hunch says otherwise. Scrote, too.
So Freya wants us to help her find the magic that really binds her to Midgard. And I mean, all I could say is really perfect timing, Freya. I'm so upset. I'll say it again. I said it in the last episode, but I'll say it again. I am so upset at Freya right now because after the last chapter, after Ironwood, I've just been waiting for this moment for Atreus and Kratos to sit down and reveal to each other what they know about the shrine and the prediction. And Freya's just like, not yet. We have to go on a mini adventure. Like, at least bring Atreus so we could have some sidebar conversation. Why Brock?
Oh, I know, yeah. But I like this fact that we get to use Brock because we never really get to use some of these side characters. So I'm not mad specifically about that. However, I just remember, and at this time, whenever Freya talks, there's so much eye rolling going on with me while I'm playing this because she's just like sarcastic all the time. And it's like, okay, Freya, we get it. We killed your son. Okay, get over it.
Get over it. He's dead. I tell you, he's dead.
He tried to kill you. Okay, we chose to save you. Okay, figure it out.
Figure it out. And we're going to figure out where this magic is. We know it's in Vanaheim, and we're making our way there, which is a new realm for us, Freya's home. So it's going to be really exciting to see. But we also never really heard about Freya's brother. And firstly, shame on her parents for doing the whole first letter for the sibling thing. Pet peeve of mine. My aunt named my 5 cousins all with the letter A: Allison, Andrew, Angie, Alicia. Like, it is so confusing when you're angry and in an argument and you're trying to like remember the name in your head and you can't, you're throwing out all of them because you're just so overcome by emotions.
I never really, the whole.
You're like, Camille, you're unwinding too much your family.
No, but it's true. Like, people who name their kids all one letter. Like, I do know someone with J's, and it's like Jason, Johnny, Jackson, and a couple other J's, and it's like, I don't know. But yeah, the Freya thing, I'm only going to give it a pass, because this was like, this myth was around, for generations upon generations and thousands of years. So I'll give them that at this point.
Fine. I guess history wins again. But it is super close. So I apologize in advance if I say Freyr when I mean Freya, because I found myself doing that when I was writing today's script. But yeah, we learn more of this brother she has, which it's like, I don't even remember him coming up in the first game. So I'm curious. Obviously, it's like apparent that he's going to play a bigger role in the plot. So I'm curious to what that would look like.
It just reminded me. So after I played this game, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back quickly to the first God of War and see if there was anything that I missed there in terms of like, I just wanted to like finish up, get 100%, whatever. The first place that I went to was Alfheim. And literally the first like mention that Mimir made was about Freyr. and talking to the light and dark elves. So I didn't even clue in the first game that he was ever mentioned.
Does he say Freya's sister or brother? Sorry.
I think he does, but he mentions, yes, I think he does. But then he mentions like, yeah, this is Freyr. He kind of brought the light and dark elves together, blah, blah, blah. So it was funny to me because I had never thought I heard his name in the first game, but he actually was mentioned. So they have sprinkled in all these characters, but I don't think we ever clue in unless we see them.
Yeah, we really don't clue in unless we see them. Like the first time, really, when we were actually in Elfheim, like in Ragnarok, that's when I was like, wait, a brother? Where'd that? And I think I might have said that in the episode, but it's interesting. Like the game still surprises us, and that just shows how much lore is in this game and how much there is to dive into. So let's get into it. Brock is joining us on our little side quest because he's looking for a drinking bunny that he had, who apparently rolls with Freyr.
Yes.
Freya makes it very apparent that she still might kill us, so it's still undecided if we're
Every 2
friends
seconds.
or not. But we get into Vanaheim, and it's our first time being there. It's very humid, and it's a green forest, and everything in the forest is trying to kill you. So it's basically Australia.
That's a great point, but also super annoying. These plants
They're so
literally
annoying.
get on my nerves, especially the ones on the ground that have the bubbles.
Oh,
because I
yes.
never see them. And then I always just hit them, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I run again, and then I hit them again. And then I run again, and I hit them again. And then I have like no health left. And I
all
curse
the
name of
acid
these
from those plants just like burst into these bubbles and like overcomes you. And then you also have that status effect as well. Super annoying. But then they even get more annoying later on as we get through more of Vanaheim. We see huge elaborations. The plants that like link together. And then they have like this gaseous smoke, this poisonous smoke.
Yes.
That's super annoying because then if you accidentally recall Leviathan, then like you undo the like blocking that, and then you just get poisoned anyway. So I was just like, I'm going to die a lot in Vanaheim. It's all right.
Sometimes I can't find where the source is because I know they have there's different plants that spit out the poison, but it's connected to one source. And sometimes I can't find that source. And then they're just like pummeling me with this poison. And I just have to leave the area until I can find it. And then, I don't know, I have to connect the arrows, try to shoot them down potentially. But like, it's just really, really annoying.
Yeah, it's really annoying, but it is also very pretty to look at, like just how they design the plants to make them look different, which obviously we pointed out before. The game does a really good job at making these environments feel different, even though it's mostly woods that you're going through in the game. Now, as we continue through the forest, Freya feels that the spell she cast on herself. So how she was able to leave Midgard was she cast a spell on herself which I guess she tested after Brock opened up the realms. It allowed her to keep her human form and then travel outside of the realm. But she feels that spell kind of pulling her back. So she has to transform back into her bird form. And the sassiness that she has around this form is hilarious. Like she makes some sort of comment like, oh, this is such a useless form. Like, and I'm like, hey, birds are cool. What did birds ever do to you?
Yeah. Also, you can fly around. It's something you can't do otherwise. So like, enjoy your bird form. Come on. I'd love being a bird.
I know. If I had to turn into a bird so I wasn't like torn from the realm, I'd be like, hey, Kratos is going to do all the work here and I could avoid the deadly plants on the ground. I mean, it'd be exciting for me, but apparently not for Freya at all. We continue through and we fight a few enemies on the way. Cool thing here is that Brock is now a character, like you mentioned, that we could command to attack enemies. We saw this with Sindri before, where Sindri uses his little bag of tricks. Just love that we're expanding the characters that we are familiar with to see them in action.
Again, this is something I mentioned off the top, which is I want to see more of all the other characters. Not just necessarily see them in cutscenes, whatever, but now that we're getting to play as Atreus, we got Brock here on this quest. We've seen Tyr on a quest as well. I'm liking this addition where they're adding these characters to our party. they kind of like fight on their own, and we don't have to really connect. We don't, other than their special attacks, we don't really have to do much, but I just like them on the journey because we get to know a little bit more about them.
Yeah, it kind of gives me like RPG vibes. Like, you know how you just have people join your party and like it even notifies you like Brock's joined you on the journey or whatever, right? So I like that little RPG like homage to the RPG's past. So good. Now, through side conversation, while you're playing, you get more information about Freya's relationship with her people in Vanaheim. And it seems like she doesn't really have a relationship with her people anymore. There's definitely distance between her people and Vanaheim because of her absence from the realm after she married Odin. And I mean, like, I don't blame her for feeling so distant, but at the same time, I feel like she should be like more like, I don't know, like more engaged. Like she's been able to leave the realm. And like, these are people that she hasn't seen for a long time in her home. Like, I feel like she should be more excited to be in Vanaheim.
I think the confliction that I'm seeing from her is that this is where she got married to Odin. So there's a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. And I'm thinking as well, because of Fimbulwinter and also because of everything that's going on in Vanir, it's changed a lot. And she didn't get to control how she wanted to control this realm, and Odin kind of took control, and she lost all of her ties to Vanaheim. So my thought is she's conflicted in terms of being in this place where she used to love, but it's changed so much and she's changed so much, and it has a lot of baggage that comes with it. So I get it.
Yeah, she is still hurting. Definitely not a healed person, but eventually on our journey, we keep following that dirt road, that dirt path in the forest, and we eventually come across a cave. And Brock gets into a little trouble.
What do we have here? Oh, One Eye, send another god to do his dirty work.
Thor too busy?
We do not serve Odin.
No? Picked a dangerous place for sightseeing, then. All right.
Now. No need for threats, brother.
No, you're no brother of mine. You sold my sister to that prick.
We broke it a piece.
Oh! Did you now? Where is it? And where is my sister? Some dungeon in Asgard? Is she even alive? Answer me. I guess we'll settle for blood.
Stop!
What is that? Why do you speak in her voice?
It's me, Ingvi. There's no time to explain, just listen. These men are in my service. I'm here to reclaim what's been taken from me.
It's too late. You can't undo what's been done.
I can. I will. Now let them pass.
And pass they shall. So we saw Brock get into a trap that obviously Freyr and his camp set up. And we see that he's still kind of skeptical that it is Freya through the bird. Because like I feel like he would have had a bigger reaction if he really did believe that was Freya. But I mean, if you hear a familiar voice coming from an animal, you're probably just be like, all right, do what you want to do, because that's weird. Now we get a little bit more details on Freya and how she ended up marrying Odin. So you could see like this animosity that Freyr has with Mimir, because Mimir apparently helped broker a deal for peace, but obviously the peace didn't last. Mimir's just really, like we're learning a lot in this game how much he like really screwed up all the realms.
There's a common theme in this one where he keeps talking about his past regrets I mean, he was with Odin for a long time, so he did a lot of nasty things, but it opened his eyes for a long time, and that's why he got stuck in the tree, because he finally realized that he was doing such bad things for Odin. He didn't want to do it anymore. But yeah, we're noticing he did a lot of bad things.
A lot of bad things. But I think his, through the side conversations, he always had the best interest for the people and tried to make it where it was not as cruel as it could be. Even though it was misdirected, he could have done more to stand up for the people. But I think his fear of Odin and the potential of the torment that Odin could bring on the people of the Nine Realms, he just tried to make the situation the best it could be for the majority of the people, which is a very it's kind of noble to think, but the execution is just not there. But it's shedding more light on this Freya Odin relationship. It was kind of a transactional deal where obviously Odin didn't hold up his side of the bargain, and Freyr is holding that really against Mimir and against Freya. Now let's talk Freyr, because is this the person you would expect to be the brother of the Valkyrie Freya? Because they kind of him and his crew kind of seem like a band of misfits to me.
Oh yeah, they do. They do feel like a band of misfits. I'm gonna say this game is doing a lot of subverting your expectations in the way that characters look.
Yes.
Thor is pretty meaty. Odin looks like a character from Seinfeld. Freyr looks like none of these gods look very godly. They look regular. And I think it's a common theme here is they're trying to make these gods almost seem like realistic, in a sense of if they did exist, that they were just, I would say a take on humans where they had powers, but they were also still very much human. Yeah. And I kind of like this aspect, although I kind of would like to see, I guess in the previous God of War games, they really showed how grand, they're very, the gods are very grand.
Mm-hmm. They're otherworldly. Yeah.
They are. In these games, they're very realistic, and I kind of like that tone.
Yeah, and I think that has to do with just, there's different tellings of Greek and Norse mythology. And I think you do have that flip side where the gods are seen as regular people. Even when you look at Greek mythology and how Hercules is handled, I know he's being half god, half human, but he lives amongst the people, even though he is so powerful. And I think with Norse mythology, these powerful gods really do bicker and have issues that any other person will have. They're just like us. Yeah. They're regular people, but more sinister.
They all have family drama, which is the main thing in common.
Yes. Family drama, bringing everyone together. So in the Band of Misfits, we also see the drinking buddy that Brock was looking for, Lunda, who, she's just a character on her own. I don't know if you've played Borderlands 2, but she reminds me of Ellie, who's the mechanic for Sanctuary. They sound exactly the same. I had to look it up. It is not the same voice actor, but really good job. I'm a fan of Lunda.
Me too, apart from the country bumpkin accent that makes me laugh.
That is so good.
No, but listen, they really double down on the American accents in this game, which is fine. They didn't want to make it I guess every, I don't know, history / mythological movie or game always has British actors and British voices, but I do like that they don't use that. But this one is it's so country bumpkin, how you doing? And I just can't get over it. And I remember I would play this game constantly, and then if my girlfriend was there or if a friend was there or whatever, they'd be like, who is this person? What is going on? Why is this accent so country? And it's isn't this supposed to be Norse mythology?
Well, who said there couldn't be a little country in the Norse mythology? I am here for it. I think because also I played Borderlands 2, and because I had that, it immediately took me back there. Maybe that's why I enjoyed it a little more, but it does definitely stand out. And I could see from your point of view, how it just stands out a little bit too much. It's more drastic than Odin's New York accent. So I could totally understand where you're coming from as well. Now, in this little band of misfits, we also see like 2 elves. We see actually a dark elf and a light elf.
Yes.
And they're together, like actually friends, not fighting. So it was nice to see that as well. Now, we continue through, and Mimir wants us to talk to Freyr again before we continue on with Freya's mission. And we find out that the Aesir have been occupying Vanaheim. So they're kind of in a little bit of like a war situation with the Aesir and are trying to fight back for territory. And Mimir, because he is all-knowing, he decides to stay back at the camp to help Freya with his plan. So this pretty much just leaves us and Freya to continue to find the magic that bonds her to Midgard. And honestly, this is leaving Freya in a pretty decent situation if she wants to kill Kratos without anyone knowing. She could just be like, yeah, like an ancient killed him. I don't know what happened.
Again, I don't see it happening. My whole prediction in this entire chapter is that Freya will finally cut us some slack. My guess is especially when they're walking around, they keep like bonding almost. And then Kratos tries to tell her a story. And then Freya is like, shut up, Kratos. But it's just like, I feel like it's gnawing at her a little bit. And I think we're going to be able to chip away through by the end of this chapter. But I don't think she's going to kill us or try to kill us. But also, I don't think Kratos is going to die in the middle of this game. And if he does, holy shit, Santa Monica, what a storytelling that is.
They could do anything at this point. I feel like they've just thrown so much surprises. Every time, I'm just really, you know what? I'm going to say it. I don't trust Freya. Okay,
Oh
she
my
is
God.
too.
What do you mean?
She's
Of course you
too
don't
caught
trust
up in
Freya.
her emotions. She is trying to kill us. So even though she says like there's a truce for now, as soon as I hear moments like this, and there's a few moments while you're traveling with her where she's like, I haven't decided yet, or like you said, she'll be like, shut up. That Metal Gear exclamation mark just goes up in my head, and I'm just like, I'm gonna just hang on to Leviathan just in case. Now we make our way through the forest to continue to find where that magic is. And we actually find an ancient along the way. So I love the fact that they're adding this into the mix of enemies, as well as Nokins. And I hate Nokins. They're like little gremlins that possess other enemies through their song. And that makes the enemies, that makes the enemies like pretty much like they could take as much damage as possible, but they won't die.
The heal, constant healing, right?
Yeah, constantly healing. Their song heals the enemies. So it's like you have to take out the Nokins first, but they're also green, and the Vanaheim forest is very green, so they're hard to spot. And that's what makes them super annoying.
There's been a few where I'm in a battle and I can't find where it's coming from. And even though I see they're kind of like green smoke trailing behind, I can't find where they are because they are really tiny, and also they blend in the background because everything is, plant and green.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find. And if you can't find them, then you're in for a nightmare. I think I died a couple times in some of these scenarios.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find where they were. And yeah, it's again, they're throwing some really annoying enemies at us in this game.
Yeah, and it's not just like annoying because they're super powerful, because they're actually easy to take out. You just throw your axe at them and then they're gone. But it's just that you have to really be on the lookout. So I do appreciate that the game's really mixing up the type of enemies we see to make the fighting more dynamic. But the Nokins are very frustrating. You mentioned earlier, Nick, that Kratos kind of has this back and forth with Freya as we are continuing our mission with her. And she also provides wise words because Freya is giving us more information about the relationship with her brother and with her people. And apparently they said some bad things to each other the last time they saw each other. And they left it at that when Freya left Vanaheim. They're still not seeing eye to eye because they have different ideas of I guess battle and like just they're different people. What I found was really odd is Kratos providing this information because they aren't technically friends yet. Like this is someone who's been trying to kill you for a whole like first half of the game.
Yeah.
And this now you're like, hey, we just became kind of friends, frenemies. Let me offer some advice that you clearly don't want.
She's giving us mixed signals in this game. I'm not gonna lie, but she's still conflicted, right? This is the whole point. We got to remember Freya is conflicted about everything, whether it's killing Kratos, even her brother. She seems a little sketched out about being in Vanaheim, where she was married Odin, seeing how much it's changed, all that. So I'm gonna give her some slack here. I think she's dealing with a lot.
Yeah, she is, and to give credit, there is a lot, like I mentioned in the last episode, of similarities between Kratos and Freya in terms of their trauma, their relationship with their family. And Kratos has learned a lot. He's definitely not the same Kratos from the beginning of the 2018 game. So he's, I think, trying to be a good friend. But again, Kratos, hold Leviathan close to you because you may step on her toes.
Yeah.
We continue through the valley and eventually we meet one of the powerful Einherjar, and his name is Fisk. Now, he is pretty powerful, going to deal a lot of damage, and you want to really dodge his blows because I did not at first, and I died a horrible death.
Now we're really seeing different dynamics in terms of these enemies in this game. Like some are really powerful that hit really hard. Some are really hard to attack. Like some are small, some hit way fast, some hit really slow. Like I'm really starting to see the kind of levels that Santa Monica have gone through in this version, where they really took risks in how each enemy has different kind of valuations in terms of how they attack, which I didn't see as much in the last game. It was mostly trolls. It was mostly hellwalkers. They just threw a bunch of similar enemies at us constantly. And this one, we're really getting a sense of how many different realms there are, because there are so many different enemies that are coming at us, and they all have their specific attacks that we have to avoid.
They definitely took those risks with Fisk. But once you finally defeat Fisk, you'll reach Freya's home.
Hold on. Something's not right. Opinbera. World tree roots bound in Odin's damn knots. That's how he did it. Come on! Nico!
It belongs to Odin?
No! Protect Yggdrasil's roots, wherever they are. Bastard was counting on it.
Surprise! When you thought you were about to help Freya, Nidhogg tears through the realms and attacks. I didn't expect a jump scare in God of War Ragnarok, but this was that moment.
Did you get scared?
I did. I was not expecting it because Kratos walks towards Freya, trying to help her, unwrap these roots, and then just boom, Nidhogg.
I absolutely loved that aspect. It
was good.
It threw me off guard, and then it's like, oh, here you go, giant boss fight out of nowhere. I'll take that any day.
Yeah, and it's a tough boss fight. As Freya mentioned, Nidhogg is the protector of Yggdrasil, and we actually saw her, or him? I don't know, before.
Oh, it's a her. It's her.
Actually, her, because, she has her kids, her little
Babies.
Younglings, little young dragon-like things that live in the Yggdrasil tree. But, yes, she appears to protect the roots, and that's exactly what Freya was trying to pry away from that magic that was binding her that she saw. So this means boss fight, as Nick mentioned. Very happy about all the boss fights, but it is a tough one. Really, it's about, again, dodging the projectiles and trying to hit her so then you're able to get multiple blows on her. The whole time, though, I was thinking about all the young little Nidhoggs at Sindri's house. I'm like, oh, I don't really want to fight Nidhogg right now because she has babies. Who's going to watch the babies?
There's you make a good point, but I mean, especially you've seen Kratos from start to finish. He will protect himself at all costs. So it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, if you come at him, he's going to do what he needs to do and deal with the consequences later. But I just love how many boss fights we're facing off against in this game, how different everyone is. I'm literally loving life because they've done exactly what I think was lacking in the last game, which is a lot more diversity in enemies. They did that, and then a lot more boss fights, and a lot more different boss fights that aren't the same 2 trolls every 2 seconds. And they heard us, and they delivered, and this was an awesome, awesome, awesome fight.
Yeah, it's really cool how she's literally halfway through the tear in the realms, and then you have to pull her out and like pretty much just kill her.
Yeah.
And you do kill her. And Freya goes back.
Yeah. You
kill her bad.
You chop her head off, basically. And it's very graphic.
Exactly.
This is probably the most graphic
So
fight
graphic.
we've seen.
Yeah, but it's so satisfying. But after we defeat Nidhogg, Freya goes back to rip apart the roots of the magic that's binding her.
Is it done?
It's over. It's really over.
And now that you have what you seek,
I suppose this is the point where I forgive you, or I kill you.
have you decided?
To be honest, I don't think I can do either. There's still a part of me that is so angry. And it'll always be. It'll always be angry. But no. You are not the one who needs to die.
And just like that, they're best friends forever. I do want to point out, though,
Yeah.
I was right on par with how Kratos would react, because right when she pried off the roots and freed herself, he grabbed onto Leviathan. Like in the background, you could see him like pull Leviathan out, like getting ready to fight, because he knew Freya did not make up her mind yet.
I didn't even
I was
notice
ready
that.
for it to go down. I was
Really?
ready for it. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I was ready for a fight.
But like, how emotional was that scene? You can see the conflict in her and everything that she's dealing with. A lot of emotions, and now she's finally free. I mean, she doesn't want to kill us. I wouldn't necessarily say best friends forever, but she's kind of understanding, like, I know that you were there to protect me, but that still doesn't give you the right to kill my son. But also, there's nothing I can do now. I'm conflicted in terms of, like, she did forgive us a little bit too quickly in my head, but at the same time, I get why.
She does say she can't do either, right? So she's still conflicted. Yeah.
Yes, the scene's just really dynamic. Like, you can hear the pain in her voice, and like how
Yeah.
Kratos is just like, I know, I understand. It just like moved me a lot.
And it was a really well acted scene as well.
Oh, so well acted.
I think both of the performance actors like just captured that emotion and how complicated their relationship is, because I think they both do want to be friends, but it's just like, unfortunately, the events make it very difficult, and it's going to take a lot of work to get the friendship back to where it was.
Why the dialogue is so perfect is because Freya is projecting all of her emotion out. And this isn't the time, like, Kratos knows this isn't the time to say anything. So he keeps saying, I know, because he knows, like, there's no reason to interject here. Just let her get out all of these things that she's feeling, because there's just so much.
And it's a difference from how he was addressing it before.
Yes.
I think at the end of the last game, he just kept saying he had to, like he was gonna, and like you hear that echoing through Atreus as well, where it's now with just the two of them, you're really seeing that he understands there's nothing that he could say that would bring back Baldur and make her feel better. So he chooses not to say anything. And he's been feeling this for a little bit in this game, at the beginning half of the game, because he has pretty much been ready to die at the hands of Freya if needed. So yeah, it was a really well done scene. Well done.
Round of applause.
Well done.
Round of applause.
Yes, round of applause. We continue through the West Berry Woods. Freya also talks about how important her brother is to her, and they also spot something in the sky.
Wait. Skull and Hati are in Vanaheim?
We learned the giants rescued them from Odin and brought them here.
And look. The sunlight wakes the sleeping woods. See how they stretch to welcome the sun? Beautiful, no? A far cry from the sheets of Midgard snow I've grown accustomed to. The Eastern migration. It's just as I remember it. At least the whole realm hasn't fallen to predators and occupiers. I guess there's still something to be fought for here. Something to defend even after so much damage has been done.
So in this moment, we see the wolves, Skull and Hati, who we also saw in Groa's shrine. They change day to night, chasing each other. And we hear Freya's sentiment about her brother, right? Like she thinks her brother is kind of at the beginning a lost cause, but now she's seeing that all the beauty in Vanaheim, and you really hear it in her voice. She's falling in love with her home again, just being there. And she really does feel like there may be something to be saved. And I found this really, really interesting too, because we're seeing more and more references from Groa's shrine, making the predictions actuality, more closer to actuality, I feel.
Yeah, with Skull and Hati, we learned in 2018 too. They helped the start of Ragnarok. So I want to see what happens with them. But yeah, maybe potentially that, everything is coming to fruition. I couldn't help but like everything that Frey was saying was so beautifully said. And then you hear in the background us running and Kratos is just breathing heavy. It's funny to me how like there's such a heavy dialogue and such touching sentiment, and then you're just trying to run around trying to look for things. Yeah. And Kratos is like, I just found that really funny.
Well, yeah, it's like this game fits in so much lore, and like these, like even in the small side dialogues, there's still so much emotion in them, like we saw or heard in that scene. So it's just really great to have those moments. Well, we continue through and we find ourselves back at Freyr's cave.
You think this is a game to me?
Yeah.
We lost everything to that maniac you called husband. The man's family set me on fire. How did you expect me to react?
Like my brother! Like the boy that used to have my back no matter what! And who I always supported no matter how selfish his choices. I expected you to come and find me. That no matter how hurt or angry, you wouldn't abandon me when I needed you the most.
I thought you were dead.
I've had to live lifetimes with those last awful words I said to you. Have any idea what that's like? Knowing that your own selfishness hurt the person that you cared about the most. Abandon you. Oh, Freya. I mourned you. Oh, I've missed you so much.
And are you, Ingrid?
Are you crying, Nick? Because I'm crying.
Yeah, I don't even think we can do justice explaining this scene because it's just so deep. Every cutscene has been so emotional.
Yeah, emotional. There's so much information that these cutscenes are giving us, but it's insane because there's so much to break down. Okay, so we find out that Odin lit Freyr on fire, which is why he's really bitter. I mean, he looks great for being burned, literally. And another tidbit is like we talk about Freya and her healing and all the healing she has to do.
Yeah.
I never got the sense that she felt abandoned by her people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I understand she's been broken and her hatred for obviously Odin and her brother, well, not hatred for her brother, but her disagreements with her brother, him seeming to her to be selfish and maybe feeling abandoned by him, but her people, like that's pretty impactful, and I guess would give the feeling that I had at the beginning of this chapter as to why she didn't feel like really excited to be back in Vanaheim.
I mean, the way I took it mostly is I feel like she feels like she failed her people more so in terms of, I think Odin, it looks like there's no one around really, right?
Yeah.
Did Odin murder most of these people? Because I know there are some side quests as well where there's a lot of souls around.
Lots of souls.
So I'm guessing like, I don't know, maybe Freya feels a little guilty as well. Maybe her people abandoned her, but I think that she abandoned them as well. But I don't think that was on purpose. I think a lot of this laid to blame with Odin in terms of kind of manipulating Freya into thinking that, you know, he was someone that he wasn't, and then, you know, kind of manipulating her people and Freyr and all of that. So I think there's a lot of guilt that resides in her. And I think I feel it in that cutscene. But, you know, there's a lot to deal with in her sense in terms of her relationship with her brother, and then also forgiving Kratos. Like I give her a lot of kudos. And she's going through a lot, but she's still managing to like keep up a level head still, regardless.
Yeah, she definitely is. And I think what really was that moment for her to really keep that level head, because you see little points where she raises her voice. She's like about to really let Freyr have it, is when Freyr says, "No, I was mourning you." So that transparency on both sides, where even though Freyr said the harsh words to his sister as the last time they saw each other, it was out of all the frustration that and the feelings that she was abandoning him and their people rather than staying with them. But in her eyes, it was really that she thought this marriage with Odin would bring about peace to her people, and she would be that really sacrificial lamb. I'm taking one for the team, right?
Yes.
And that obviously was not the case. So it was just really great seeing the different perspectives of that one event and how it could lead to kind of the same path of being hurt and depressed. And even though like they now seem to see eye to eye, Freya isn't ready to start fighting for Vanaheim. You know, she's still fighting for her freedom. I think there's a hold, even though Odin doesn't technically have a hold over her anymore, since she's free to travel through the realms and travel as herself. Emotionally, Odin has a hold over her, and she's still driven by that revenge that she wants to act on and kind of take Odin's life.
That's such a great point. Emotionally, that, you know, Odin still has much of a presence in terms of her not being completely free. On the other hand as well, I'm really hoping that Freyr now joins us, because we really need the help if we want to, you know, fight Odin at Ragnarok.
Yeah. We'll need him and the band of misfits.
Yes. It reminds me of, like, again, Hook and like Peter Pan and
Rufio?
his misfits.
Oh.
And Rufio. Yeah, it feels like,
yeah, it does.
that's
feel
again
like
another
that.
reference that we might be dating ourselves with, but that's what they remind me of.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. If you haven't watched it, no matter the age, go back and watch it. Robin Williams kills it, as always. Now, after this moment, this obviously emotional moment, we decide to pack up and continue on with our mission. After Freya says her final goodbyes, we grab Mimir and head back to Sindri's.
Look, I was only thinking about going to Odin, but I swear it's for a good reason.
There is no good reason to go to Odin.
He'll only cloud your mind. But I'd be going for us. I gotta stop something bad from happening.
Something bad did happen! Look at me! At Freya! At Tyr! Odin did this to us!
What's got everyone caterwauling all of a sudden?
Atreus wants to go to Asgard.
Asgard? Get kicked in the head or something?
Great. I guess everybody's against me now.
You must choose who you are going to be. Are you going to continue to lie and keep things from me? Or are you my son?
Choose? I never get to choose. Just leave me alone.
Listen.
Let go of me!
Listen!
Let go!
What the fuck?
Atreus! It's Sindri. Just try to keep control!
Come on! Come on!
Just as this game was starting to help me like Atreus a little bit more, so he's not so annoying, this scene made me so frustrated with Atreus. It's crazy how the game in different perspectives make you shift perspectives as the player like that. Like, I was all for Atreus. The Ironwood mission was good. But then when he's like, talk about what? Are you kidding me? You were missing, Atreus. There's a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh. I was losing my mind in this scene.
I knew that you would be so annoyed 1000% because you just can't deal with teen angst that well.
No,
but
I can't.
I mean, I get this conversation makes a lot of sense. You know, you have a father who just wants the truth, I guess, from his son so that they can plan properly. And he wants to shield his son from, you know, everything that's might happen with Ragnarok and whatever. He wants to be prepared, to be mature. And then you have a lot of teen angst coming from Atreus, who is like, I am an adult. I can be trusted. You need to trust me that I'm going to make the right decisions. And I think he's frustrated with Kratos, thinking that he's hiding something from him, which he is technically, but he isn't as
he
well.
knows. He knows that.
He knows what?
Oh, yeah. He doesn't know that Kratos. No, I was thinking like he knows Kratos is hiding the fact that he saw the shrine. Atreus doesn't know Kratos saw that, right? He just thinks.
Right. So Atreus is trying to protect Kratos from dying, and Kratos is trying to protect Atreus from his eventual death. And it's this constant like back and forth.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's a kid and he's going to get angry and he has a temper. So he's going to like turn into a bear and wolf or walk out and do something crazy. But I don't entirely disagree with Atreus here. I just see it as kind of like,
oh my gosh, you just found out your father may die and you're going to act like this? Like, even you hear Mimir say, you know, that's not like when he starts calling Kratos an asshole. I like the fact that like Mimir snaps him into place, like to kind of watch his language. And even with all the training or kind of training that you did with Angrboda as Atreus in Ironwood, he still has a lot more work to be done because he can't control his temper and transformations. Hearing Brock say like, what the F was a funny moment in there as well. And I loved that we finally heard Kratos say boy.
Yeah, that's what you've been waiting for so long.
It put a smile on my face.
You finally got the catchphrase. I honestly, you mentioned Mimir. I loved how he started yelling. Like, again, this is like everyone is involved in this game. There's no like, Mimir isn't just the guy who sits on your on the back of your waist and tells tales. Like, he also has an invested interest in all of this. And tensions are running high at this point because you have Tyr, who doesn't want to fight anything. Freya finally just got freed. She wants to go after Odin right now. Then you have Kratos, who's trying to like hold everything together. And then Atreus also wants to go to Asgard and find out more about himself. So there's a lot of stakes and a lot of things going on. Then it looks like things are about to erupt. And that scene kind of is the start of it bubbling.
Yeah, it does. Well, it does erupt because we see Atreus run away, essentially.
Yeah, run away, basically.
He does run away. And I will say it's like also that this group is raising Atreus together. We saw a bit of that in the first game, but because of their history, they're so invested in this kid and want him to succeed that they are just trying to send him on that right path and use all of their experience with Odin as that guideline. And it's classic, right? Parents always want to protect the kids based on their own experiences. And it's like, well, sometimes you need to make your own path. And I think we're going to see as we go back to Fimbulwinter, stricken Midgard, that Atreus is building his own path here. And with that, that is the end of this chapter. After the break, we're going to learn a little bit more about Freya and break down some other aspects too.
Well, you two seem to be getting on since completing your mission. Dare I hope this alliance has some staying power after all?
It seems to me we share a common enemy. Kratos, you may not accept that Ragnarök is inevitable, but you're smart enough to know Odin is a threat. Whatever comes next, our best chance of surviving it is to work together. Do you agree?
I do.
That's the Brock's offer.
Now, this chapter brought Vanaheim, to the Vanaheim experience, or as I like to say, the Australia of Norse mythology, to us. And there's a lot that you could collect here. You have your red chest, a lot of different items, as well as really you could explore this realm. But really at the heart of it, this chapter is about Freya and Freya's perspective and really opening her character development. And you even have that in the side missions. I know before, Nick, you mentioned like there's some side missions with souls. We get one side mission with a soul that worshipped Freya and kept like Freya's belief alive, and she died at the hands of the Aesir. We have another father-son duo that were trying to travel together for some treasure, and they both died. Lots of death, but also a lot of revisiting history. One particular side mission has us go deeper into the relationship with Odin and Freya. It's called Freya's Missing Piece, where we are trying to go back to where they were married and destroy some items that I think are representing that emotional connection that they still have. I mentioned before that Odin still has an emotional hold over Freya, and she's trying to sever that on all fronts. And you kind of go through this little breaking of trinkets with her. It's kind of like those classic like rom-coms where there's a breakup and then they just want to destroy everything. That's what we're going through in this side mission.
That could be interpreted as such, but I enjoy the character development so much in this game right now, and this chapter is all about Freya, like you said.
Yeah, particularly in this mission, we learned that Freya actually loved Odin. So even though it was transactional, she actually did care for Odin, and she even goes as far to say that their marriage was not so volatile. At the beginning, they actually enjoyed their time together. It was weird for me to see Odin in this light. Did you have a hard time seeing Odin in this light as well?
What everyone keeps saying throughout is that he is a very charismatic character, and like he tricks people. He makes people believe things. He manipulates you. So I think he is a very charming person or a charming god, but that's the problem is she, saw him in one light and then realized that he was not that person. And that's every character that we have seen so far. Like Mimir was also a part of the Aesir. Mimir also helped Odin. So we saw these characters, they all got manipulated by Odin at some point, but then they started to realize who the true Odin was. And you're seeing this here, like Freya saying, like, I did used to love him, but he was not that person. And quickly I found out about it.
See, I would disagree with you because I kind of interpreted it as she and Odin actually lived a happy life. Odin wanted to marry her and he was completely a different person. I didn't think he was manipulating her based on the stories she was telling, like on their wedding day and stuff like that. I think he always had a selfish side, and maybe her love for him blinded that side of him. I don't think he hid it from her or to manipulate her. I think what happened is he's a selfish person. So when she decided not to train him in her magic and teach him her magic, that was something he valued. So I think he was bitter from that, and that's why their marriage fell apart.
The only thing is, like, he valued something from her. It seems like he values something of everyone until he can't anymore. He doesn't, or they don't like him anymore.
That's true.
To me, that's what I'm thinking. It's like he throws everyone away at some point.
Yes.
The same can be said to Freya. So I get what you're saying 100%, but at the same time, I still think he's basically the worst person. And that's what they've been preaching throughout, is because you look at it, Atreus too, he's like, oh, like I talked to him, like he wasn't that bad. Like he was nice to me. Like maybe there's something that I can do. And then Mimir and Freya, they keep telling Atreus, like, no, like be careful because he will try to like get on your good side. And that is only because he's looking for something. He needs something from you.
That's really true. But this side mission was a great eye opener.
It was.
Into Freya and Odin's relationship. And guess what? Next chapter, we're going to learn more about Odin as we head into Midgard and the Fimbulwinter and figure out what Atreus wants to do. I think we're going to get up close and personal with the Allfather, but you'll have to stay tuned to find out how Norse gods live like regular people next time on AutoSave.
AutoSave is produced and hosted by Nick Andrade and myself, Camille Salazar-Hadaway. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Zeiser. Technical production by Greg Fillion. Executive producer Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now. And if it happens to be Apple Podcast, kindly leave us a rating and a review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.